Reflections on a Redwood Forest, a Spiritual Practice, adapted from an article written by Kim Naten.
I'm gazing at the old hollowed-out trunk, bracketed between two strong, tall, established redwoods towering overhead.
At the base of each of the two redwoods are saplings. New life, new growth of varying types and sizes. Cedar, ivy, fern. There is no way to know which will thrive, which will survive, which will struggle, and which will die. But each new life reaches for the sun.
Be mindful of the changing of life seasons, of the passage from the springtime of childhood and youth to the winter's years of life. Embrace the blessing of your many differences. Be tender and caring. Be reminded once again that the gifts of all are necessary in order that divine purpose may be accomplished. Doctrine and Covenants 161 4b.
In your journey, how have you been blessed by the rich diversity of gifts from those who have walked before you and with you?
This enormous trunk, hollow and seemingly dead, is now held lovingly between the two strong trees, and yet new life, bright green moss, is clinging to and growing on the outside. It is clear that this old tree birthed the two strong redwoods on either side, provided the foundation and the nourishment for them to grow and thrive. This mother tree provides the base, not only for these strong established trees on either side, but also for the new life springing forth at its base from its very roots.
Be respectful of tradition. Do not fail to listen attentively to the telling of the sacred story, for the story of Scripture and of faith empowers and illuminates. But neither be captive to time-bound formulas and procedures. Remember that instruction given in former years is applicable in principle and must be measured against the needs of a growing church in accordance with the prayerful direction of the spiritual authorities and the consent of the people. Doctrine and Covenants 161, 5.
And now these two strong trees stand on either side of the mother tree, lovingly holding it, becoming the foundation upon which it rests and clings, even as they have grown tall and strong towards the sunlight. But as I gaze up, I see that even the branches and needles on these strong trees are thinning, dry needles falling to the ground and creating a soft carpet beneath my feet. There is still life evident here, but also the realization that one day, these powerful symbols of life and strength will also wither, die, become hollow trunks, giving new life to those seedlings and saplings at their base.
In your journey, as a disciple, as a congregation, what may we need to let die to make way for new life in community to grow?
Again, you are reminded that this community was divinely called into being. The spirit of the restoration is not locked into one moment of time, but is instead the call to every generation to witness to essential truths in its own language and form. Let the Spirit breathe. Doctrine and Covenants 162, 2e.
All can coexist, can support and sustain one another. It is not a competition, but symbiotic relationship, holding, birthing, nurturing, respecting, and making space for one another. Each being fed by the same sun, the same soil, the same living water from above, but each also growing into and existing in its own unique self, its own expression of God's mystery, God's love, God's imagination, in solitude and in solidarity, exemplifying both their uniqueness and their membership within community.
Your journey, O people of the Restoration. You have been blessed thus far, but there is so much yet to see, so much yet to do. Go forth with confidence and live prophetically as a people who have been loved and who now courageously choose to love one another. In the name of the one you serve. Amen.
Long journey in same direction.
The challenges and opportunities are momentous. Will you remain hesitant in the shadows of your fears, insecurities, and competing loyalties? Or will you move forward in the light of your divinely instilled call and vision? Doctrine and Covenants 164, 9e. God's invitation is before you. How will you respond? God's invitation is before us. How will we respond? As we journey forward, let us listen for God's invitation and use our prophetic voices to build sacred, inclusive communities as followers of Jesus Christ.